Okay, now you want me to talk?
Yes, please.
Well, back in 1963, I had just moved into this country in March of 63. And my mother started sending me the singles as they were being produced in England. And one of the things that she said to me was, these guys are really very, very good. And my mother was not the kind of a person that would, just because it was her son, would think it was good. She would find quality, and she would, you know, appreciate quality, but she would not appreciate it if you weren't doing it very well. So I knew when she said it was good that there was something happening there. So, being a bit of a ham myself, I started going around all the radio stations in the area within about a couple of 100 miles of where I lived. I was married to a very successful engineer, so I had plenty of, resources to be able to go and come as I pleased and have people to look after my children. So I started going to the radio stations and suggesting that, my Kid Brothers band is #1 in England and they're doing very, very well, and why don't you play their music here on your radio station? And for the most part, I was being treated as though, who let you out of the kitchen, young lady, that kind of thing. And then, well, this stuff is terrible, it's not commercial, it's never going to go anywhere, I'd go home and wash your husband's socks. That was the take that I was getting on it. So after a while, I started to realize that you can't just go in with a quality recording and get people to play it. And I started to realize too that not only was the fact that I was a woman was a bit of a problem, but also the fact that I wasn't going in showering them with gifts or giving them a Porsche or something. So I started getting the Cashbox Billboard and Variety magazines at that time and studying the American music business. And I was writing about 16-page handwritten letters every week to Brian Epstein, and also then to George Martin and Dick James, filling them in with how the business operates over here. Because in England it's so very different. They have the BBC, and if you get your music played on there, you're in. Also, they have, a totally different attitude toward life in general. And one of the worst things that you can be in England is to be aggressive. Whereas over here, they advertise for aggressive salespeople. So the whole thing, the whole attitude towards doing business was different. And I was having to try to advise them that you can't just be a gentleman and, stand back and shake hands with somebody or just nod your head and say, yes, we'll do it. You have to be more aggressive, and you have to be pushy, and most of all, you have to have some money to get something done. So this was the advice that I was giving them, and I told them that the three major record companies in this country were Columbia, RCA, and Capitol. And Brian Epstein found out that EMI, who was doing their recording, was actually the owner, or was involved with Capitol. So he started, will you, with a big company, take us on? And they kept turning him down and turning him down. But he kept on trying. But he tried other labels because he was, he was listening to my advice. And he tried, he started out on VJ, and he switched over to Swan, which was better. But anyway, so that was basically what was going on during 1963.